Hey, good evening, everybody. It's the author Andrew Snorton, and you're joining me for the Fast 15. Normally, we do this during the day about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's our no more than 15 minutes to kind of pause, check up, check in, enjoy an encouraging note from any of the books or audio books, a few announcements, and get you on your way. But during that time, I had another event that I had to do, so I appreciate you guys with your patience. All of you just being patient with me today. Of course, to stay connected, make sure to add Author A. Snorton on your favorite platforms. Make sure to check out my link tree, linktr.ee/Author A. Snorton for all the socials, website, upcoming events, the Author Andrew Snorton Blend Coffee in collaboration with Fontes, and some other great pieces of information. So appreciate everybody that's watching, liking, sharing, reposting, all that type of thing. And hopefully this time just allows all of us, myself included, just a couple of months to just kind of pause and catch your breath. Usually we do our break during the midday because I know sometimes you can't wait till the end of the day or the beginning of the next day. Every once in a while we got to do something a little bit differently because of other moving parts, as you hear the clock in the background. So I'm going to pause. Okay, so just based on the grandfather clock, we know we're hitting 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So before we dive into our topic of the day, of course, we know when life is lifing, things can kind of get out of sync real quickly. So all of us have different things that we're trying to deal with, trying to work through. But if you or somebody you know is dealing with something real serious, it could be health related, it could be finances, it could be just your dealings with people, you're feeling overstressed, things along those lines. If that sounds like you or someone you know, please know that there are people who do care. There are people who really are concerned. And even though we see and hear a lot of negativity and people don't care, obviously there's people that do. You might not know who all of them are, but there are people that do care. So please, if you're getting overloaded or overwhelmed, please take a moment or two to just pause. If you got to catch up on some rest, if what you're dealing with requires professional help and you have access to it, get the professional help you need. If you have to do more informal things like change your routine or your diet or the people you're around, whatever, please try to do what you can to slow down your moving parts so you can identify what is really going on and what are going to be the most constructive, ways of addressing it. And we all know we've all had hurt feelings. We've all been angry. We've all flown off at the mouth and all that type of thing. But last time I read anger, danger, anger is a step away from danger. And so I pray and trust that if you're really dealing with something serious, please take the time you need to pause, try to slow down your moving parts, identify what's really happening, and then figure out what's the most constructive course of action. I know sometimes we want to take the Mike Tyson approach, and it's like everyone has a plan until they get knocked in the mouth, but that might not be the best route to go. So again, if you or somebody knows going through something challenging, please take the time that you need, no matter how short or how long it is, to do what you need to get yourself back on track. And all of us have been there. So you're not the first and you won't be the last. On the flip side, there's a number of people who are doing some great things, like my man, Big Man Culture, who's joining us. Always good to check up and check in with him. Make sure to check him out at Big Man Culture. But there's a number of positives that are still going on. There's people who have learned a new skill, some people getting a new job, some people a new place to live. You're getting ready to travel somewhere. Some of you might have had those delays and they didn't lead to defeat. They led to delivery and they led to something positive. So it sounds like you or somebody that's really going through a good stretch, or you're having a breakthrough. You're getting closer to a positive breakthrough. We're rooting for you. We're pulling for you. Congratulate you. Please take time to celebrate because you know what you had to work through in order to get there. Now, don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. But please take the time you need to kind of celebrate and feed off the positive energy. That goes for all of us. There's times where we're so focused that we don't stop and smell the roses. So take time you need to stop and smell the roses and just enjoy and just live. So if that sounds like you or someone you know, let's keep the positive vibes and positive spirit going. So in that spirit, we're going to go to our topic from the day, and it's coming from my first book, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with AuthorASnorton. And I'm motivated today by one of the things that I was able to cover on the press and media end, an amazing piece of work that took place in Decatur, Georgia. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But the chapter I'm going to pull from is chapter 9, For the Love of Community. Now, there's a number of people who I follow and follow me who are really community involved. Some it's through the lens of their faith. Some who are members of our Divine Nine, our predominantly black fraternity and sorority. Shout to our D9, who've historically and currently doing great things. Some people are part of our civic organizations, professional associations, what have you. They're really doing some cool community things. And I'm going to read a portion of the preview for chapter 9, and it goes as follows, because there's some of us who are doing stuff and it's like, are people really paying attention? But you'll be surprised, so listen closely. As much as I'd like to control how people receive things or the outcomes, I can control what I do, what I learn, what I apply, and at least do something instead of sitting idly by, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said. The proverbial saying is, if I can help one person, and this is true. However, I know in some way, shape, and form, even if I never see it or hear it, I'm hopefully helping more than one. I tend to think I am, so if the masses don't fully embrace me, I'll live with the rejection, knowing that I'm empowering some to do the work that is yet to be done, which in turn allows them to go further than I can. I'll focus on being the best bridge builder that I can be. Now, that's some powerful stuff right there, because oftentimes people do something you want to get the immediate feedback, and that might not happen. But don't let that deter you when you see something in your neighborhood or at home or the larger community and you know that there's a charge that you have to keep. Still do something. And before you're like, well, I'm not going to do anything, listen to this. There are people known and unknown that came before you that made sacrifices for you to be here. And a number of them knew that they weren't going to see it. Now think about that for a moment. We can look back to things like the civil rights movement and other movements where there's people written in the history books and not, that made sacrifices for the greater good, the call for stewardship. And yeah, sometimes, like I said, it doesn't happen immediately and you do something and you think everyone's going to be gung-ho. It doesn't always work that way. But guess what? There are other people who kind of walked where you walk and did what they did in order to leave a positive footprint and leave things a little bit better. So don't be deterred when you don't get the initial response or praise or accolades, because there's plenty of people who are good stewards who sometimes don't move in front of the cameras. They move in silence or they move behind the scenes, and they still do something to at least give the potential of something great to happen. So that's the takeaway that I hope you get from the overview for chapter 9 of my very first book, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with AuthorASnorton. Yeah, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble online, but please check out the indie bookstores and check them out. So before I pivot and look at La Sombra 11, thank you so much, and of course Big Man Culture that joined me, just a couple of quick announcements. On the press and media end, make sure to connect with AuthorASnorton CCS. We should have our recap of a great piece that happened today in Decatur, Georgia, the Village at Legacy. So today they did the groundbreaking on the second phase of accessible housing. So it's 2 units that they're going to have, about 132 places for people to live, not only just our 62 and older, but also some of our younger folks who are in need of those types of spaces and places. But it's a great facility, a park, a track, all that type of thing. It's really, really nice. So, the article will be coming soon on AuthorASnorton CCS. So shouts to the Decatur Housing Authority and everybody who was a part of, today's groundbreaking piece. It was really, really awesome. Many thanks to Maracas Bar, as this past Saturday I was able to do my author's talk. Shouts to DJ Shaolin. Shouts to members of the Power Hits 93.9 team that were able to come out, as well as Emery Rose Photography, Lens Depends podcast, and everybody that pulled up and came through. And definitely, of course, the amazing owners and team at Maracas Bar in Tucker, Georgia. So make sure to check them out. Doing some tremendous things. Unfortunately, my original plans were to be in Lincoln, Illinois this weekend. Those were my original plans. Not able to do so this year, so this will be the first time that I have missed their Juneteenth event. I did it 2022, 2023, 2024. I won't be able to do it this year. But if you are in Lincoln, Illinois, Central Illinois, I know Bloomington Normal, I know you've got an event, but y'all make the 35-minute trip down to Lincoln. The Hunt For Foundation doing some amazing work. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to join them this year, but I look forward to being part of that down the road. As for other events that are coming up, I'll probably, if you follow and subscribe to the newsletter, you've seen a couple of save the dates for events that are coming up in August, or maybe some other ones in Metro Atlanta that I'll be doing before I, get clear enough to get back on the road. So definitely make sure to check those out. If you aren't subscribed, click on the link in my bio, and it'll be for my link tree. The very first thing you'll see is going to be the newsletter, so you can check it out that way. Trying to think if there's anything else, and I know there's always something, but of course, thank you to every reader, book club, bookstore, book festival, event, what have you, that's been liking, sharing, and supporting since I dropped my first book in February 2017. To fellow authors, let's keep doing it. People need to hear our narratives and hear our stories, and sometimes what we're doing provides a voice for those who are still trying to find theirs. So make sure to check it out. Goodness, trying to think of anything else. Of course, Juneteenth. Please do your research on what Juneteenth is all about. We know there were celebrations that happened last weekend. There's some happening tomorrow, some happening this weekend. And don't get me wrong, the festivity and all that is cool. And yes, the celebration of culture, but do some digging and do some research on what Juneteenth is really all about. And the fact that basically 2 years after the Civil War ended is when the news got to Texas. So that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But please do your research on some of these things. And we hear the term party with a purpose, celebrate with a purpose, but celebrate because you've done your due diligence. And now you kind of know for real, what things are all about. Last couple things, we know there's a lot of adversity that's being reported, in the current political cycle, global cycle, local cycle. Only thing I'll say is be aware enough so you are aware, but if you go too knee deep in it, you can get overloaded. So like a wise person told me, before you get hungry, get something to eat. Before you get fatigued, take a moment to pause, but you still need to be aware. You still need to be engaged. Those are some of the main takeaways. So before I close out, shouts to Big Man Culture. I know it's been a minute, but y'all check this man out, doing some tremendous stuff. Not only just in fashion, but when we talk about people leaving a positive footprint, that's a good example of one. So check out Big Man Culture. Check out La Sombra 11, doing some creative things. And of course, if I'm live and I see, I'm going to shout you out. And I'm doing it to help encourage people. Hey, what is this person all about? What are they doing? The cool stuff that's going on. Emery Rose Photography joining us live. Hold on. Doing some great work. Best in Gwinnett for photography, at least 4 of the last 5 years, 4 of the last 6 years with Gwinnett Magazine. That's one of the collaborative partners that I have with the Lens Depends podcast. So make sure to check out Emery Rose Photography, doing some really great stuff. And check out Lens Depends podcast, as we just dropped our most recent episode, and we'll be recording our next one pretty soon. So we're getting that back on track. So I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. Of course, like, share, repost. If you have questions, feel free to shoot. Well, don't shoot, but Make sure to send your questions, all that type of thing. No, don't shoot nobody. That's not a good move. But other than that, I really hope that during this moment of pause, we'll get back on our usual 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But like I said, I had to cover the groundbreaking for the Village at Legacy in Decatur, Georgia. Glad I was able to be there. And all that type of thing. So, of course, to keep everybody encouraged and all that type of thing, remember, whether it's small or big, a victory is a victory. Whether it's slow or swift, movement is movement. Keep it victorious. Keep it moving. Shouts again to Emery Rose Photography, La Sombra 11, and Big Man Culture. So make sure to check them out, please. Don't have me shouting people out and y'all like, oh, no. Please check these folks out. They're doing some really creative stuff. And even if they haven't shown the creativity, they're about to show it. So, of course, you won't know it if you don't take time to go ahead and show up and show it. So, guys, y'all take good care. Peace. See you later. God bless. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Take care.